Welcome back everybody, this is Muhammad Said with you again. So in this video, we're going to be starting a new ethical hacking tutorial. So if you do not know what ethical hacking is basically an authorized attempt to get access to unauthorized data on a computer. Or in other words, ethical hacking is basically trying to access a computer and get the data off of that computer, which basically means that you now have full access to that computer. Before we start, this video is for educational purposes only. So let's get started. So first of all, we're going to need to create a virtual machine. So a virtual machine is just another computer on your computer. This might sound complicated, but it's really simple. So let's say I'm running Windows here, and I want to get another computer with the operating system of macOS. So some people might say you need to get a new computer. But we can do something else. We can run a virtual machine on my computer, which basically means that I have an app called VirtualBox, and then when I open that app, I have a list of different operating systems that I can run on this one computer. So first of all, let's go over to Google and search up virtualbox.org, and we click enter. Here we get this. So basically, VirtualBox is a software created by Oracle, which is a very big organization. So it's very trusted. So let's click on download VirtualBox 7.0, and then we go over here. So if you're running Windows, press on Windows, but if you're running Mac or Linux, you can press on here. So I'm using Windows, so let's press on Windows host. And we're gonna get this. Press on save and then wait for it to download. After this, we're gonna press on VirtualBox and we wait. Now we press yes. And we press on next. So now we're downloading VirtualBox. Here we just press on next, install. And now it's gonna open. So here it is. So how this is gonna work is that we're gonna press on Kali Linux, and then it says powering virtual machine up. So this is gonna be the output and the product in the end. So it's gonna say powering virtual machine up, and then we're gonna get this. Here we're just gonna wait. And now, as you can see, I'm running a Kali Linux operating system. So if you guys don't know what Kali Linux is just another distribution of Linux, but this one is optimized for hackers. So it's way more secure than Windows, and it's got a lot of tools that we're going to be using. So to create this, we're going to press on X and press on OK. So first of all, let's go back to Google and search up kalilinux.org. So basically now we're going to be downloading the operating system. So I've had problems with virtual machines before, so let's just install the installer image. And here it depends on what computer you're running. If it's a 64-bit, press here, 32-bit, and an Apple Silicon. So I'm running a 64-bit Windows, so I'm going to press on download. And here it is. So now we have the ISO, which is basically a disk image file that we can run, that we can put on VirtualBox. So first of all, we're going to press on New, and we're going to call this Kali Linux 2. So after this, we're going to go over here and we're going to choose the folder that we want it to be. I'm going to change this here. I'll create a new folder. And now we need to put the ISO image. So we press on this arrow button, and then we go to other and then we find it. So this is mine. It should say disk image file or show this logo over here. And here it should say ISO images. Now let's press on open. And we change this to Linux if it's not already Linux. And here we change it to Debian 64-bit. And now we're going to leave the unattended install as it is and press on hardware. So here is basically where you get to choose how much memory or processors that your virtual machine is going to be using. So the more you use from this, the more it's going to take from your original computer specs. So let's say here I have a 32 gigabytes of RAM memory, and here you would basically not want to go more than half of what your computer already has, but I would recommend getting less than a quarter of that just to stay on the safe side. So I have 32 gigabytes of RAM, but I'm gonna be using 4 gigabytes. And then the processors, this basically depends. You usually don't want to go higher than the red area, but I'm gonna go with 2 CPU cores. So the more CPU cores you're using and the more RAM you're using, the better your virtual machine is going to be running. And now let's press on hard disk. And here you can choose how much storage you're going to be using. So basically you would not want to go less than 20 gigabytes. But if that's all you have, there's no problem. You can work with that, but it's not going to be ideal. So here let's make it 40 gigabytes. It should be more than enough. And now we press on finish. Now here you have your Kali Linux. So here on the right you have all of your specifications. So we're running Kali Linux and it's a Debian 64-bit operating system. Here you have the system, base memory, processors and boot order that we're going to be using. And here is the display. So let's press on here, let's press on settings and go over to here. So if there's anything that we're going to need to change later on, we can do it here. So if we want to add more memory from our RAM, we can do it here. And here you're going to need to select all of these. So we're going to have access to our floppy disks, optical disks and hard disks. The network, you would usually not want it, but in our case we don't need it. So another thing that you might want to change is going over to our display and here moving this from 16 gigabytes to 128. Let's keep it at 112 just to stay safe. So if you're running more than a 1 monitor layout, you can change this here from 1 monitor to 2 to 8. But it's not recommended to run more than 2 monitors, even though 1 should be more than enough running a virtual machine. So I'm running a 2 monitor layout, but let's just keep it at 1 for the sake of this video. Scale factor, we can keep this as is, so it can take 100% of the screen. If you're using a good graphics card on either an NVIDIA graphics card or Intel or other types of graphics card, you can change this from enable 3D acceleration. So this basically will give your virtual machine access to 3D acceleration run by your graphics card on your computer. So if you're going to be running games on this, which is definitely not recommended me, you can turn this on, but for this video let's turn it off. If we want to add more storage, we can do it from here. Audio, let's keep everything the same as it is. So now we press on our Kali Linux and we're going to wait for it to power on. We can close this and now here it is. Let's close this and this is what we're supposed to see. So we're going to need to install everything from the Kali Linux operating system. So we're going to press on graphical install. And now we can choose our language. We're going to keep it as is for English. And now you can use your country. Let's put it to United Kingdom because some countries aren't on this. Let's keep it just like this. and now configure the keyboard layout. So there are a lot of layouts for keyboards. For Bulgarian there is BDS layout. For British English, for American and English, you have QWERTY, but then if you choose to go with something like French, you're gonna get AZERTY. But for my case, I'm using a QWERTY keyboard, so let's keep it with British English as it is. Let's press on continue. And now we can choose our host name. So this is basically gonna be the name of your user on this account. So basically my Windows user is called Mohammed Saeed, but then you can change this later on, I think. But let's just put this and press on continue. You're gonna need to memorize this because you might need it later on. Let's just keep it to Kali so we have no trouble with it. And now we need to choose our domain name. We don't need this, but let's just keep it as Kali too, because we're not an organization or something. So let's press on continue. And our full name. Here you can put your full name, but instead of doing that, let's just put Kali and continue. Here the username for account, let's keep it as Kali as well. You can change it if you want, but you need to memorize this. And now your password, let's do this. You're gonna need to know your password. Press on continue. And just configuring the clock. Now we're gonna press on guided use entire disk. And we're gonna press on continue here. So now we're gonna press on all files on one partition. This is the recommendation by Kali Linux themselves. So let's press on continue. Now wait for this. Now let's press on continue, which should be our last thing. And here we allow changes to our disks. So this won't affect any of your real disks, but it would only affect the disk that you're using for your virtual machine. So let's press on continue. So now we can keep this as is, but if you're going to be changing any of these, you can do it now, because I don't think you can do that later on. So let's press on continue and wait. So now that it's done, we press on yes, and then we press on this one, and then we press on continue. And now wait for this to finish. And now we press on continue. It's gonna finish the installation and it's gonna do this. If this looks a bit complicated, don't worry, it's just how an operating system runs. Don't do anything here, it's gonna open on its own. And then it's gonna do this. You don't need to do anything for now. And if you see this Kali Linux logo, that means that you're good. So now here, you're gonna need to put the username that you put at the beginning. So mine is Kali and my password. And then you get this. Let's press on full screen. And now you have this. You have an operating system that is on your computer. So if I minimize this, I'm on Windows. But if I run this again, I'm on Kali Linux. So virtual machines are really cool and they're very important if you want to be a programmer, a coder. So that it's one of the most important tools that you're going to be needing. Just because you can run multiple operating systems on one computer. And now as you can see, it runs completely like an operating system on a complete other computer. So if you come to the command prompt and we press on ipconfig, it does nothing. But if we go over here to our command prompt and we say config, you're gonna get your IP address, because this is Windows, but on Kali Linux it's not the same thing. On Kali Linux is I think it's ifconfig. Yes, it is ifconfig. So just so you know that it's two completely different operating systems. You can also do this for other operating systems like macOS, different distributions of Linux, and yeah. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. So that's it for this one. See you in the next one. Bye.